So yeah, mental illness 100%. No, it's actually obvious. I'm gonna keep going with that. Yeah, no shit. I don't think it's really possible to describe it for someone who hasn't experienced it. Mhm. I didn't. Well, I would say that in my case, I was probably always here, but not as strong until something actually happened. Kinda stroll around and letting the flow carry you. That's kind of the point, isn't it? It's not if it makes you feel better. It can be. I haven't actually been diagnosed with depression, though I do have a lot of the symptoms, but I have been diagnosed with anxiety problems, and it's kind of the same meds to overcome it. So I think even if I might have had some kind of depression, it wasn't the main focus on my therapist wanted to focus on, and but the meds are the same. So even if I have depression, it's helping me overcome it. And now I think the whole thing was some kind of a defense mechanism to avoid dealing with things I couldn't deal with. I don't know how to explain it actually. It's just like sheltering your own mind into itself so you don't have to deal with anything outside of it, but if you don't feel good about it. Not sure if that's making any sense or if it's any accurate, but I can't put words on it. But it does control you, and at first I didn't want to get meds. I didn't want to get medication because I've always been afraid of being someone else. I always assume that I am me, and I don't want to take anything that might make me act differently than what I am. That's why I don't drink alcohol, because I wouldn't like being in what's the word again? Having my inhibitions disabled or taken away. I like to feel in control of myself, and I like to be myself. I don't like anything that would make me different, even if different means better. So I don't take alcohol, I don't take drugs, and I didn't want to take medication. And now that I'm actually on medication, I definitely feel better. I do not feel the same though. I am really different, and sometimes I don't like it. Like yesterday I was riding on my kick scooter across the street, and someone just put them somewhere on the side and said something, and was riding rather quickly, so I didn't hear what they had to say. And usually I would have like just kept going and pretended I didn't hear them. But this time I slowed down, actually stopped and went back to them, and like, yeah, what do you say? And we started chatting a bit with two people that I didn't know at all, and they were going on about how it's okay to break the law because the state is screwing you over all the time, and I didn't agree with all that, but that's just not something I would have done before. And I was just randomly chatting with random people that I didn't know, and honestly didn't really seem that recommendable. But I don't know, I just felt compelled and just listened to them and had a little chat while I was going to the mall. And before entering the mall, we parted ways, and one of them was like, "You're not from around here. You're much more open than people usually are." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm actually from around. It's just that I'm on medication." So it kind of opens my brain up, and I'm really confused. I think I scared them a little. But it was quite funny, and it's not something I would have done at all without medication. It's not me. I don't randomly start chatting with people. It's not something I do. I do on the internet because I feel safe here. But outside, no, it was a big no. I don't know why I did that. I just felt compelled when they started talking to me. I just kept going, and it's really weird, and it's because of the medication. If I stop taking the meds, that's gonna stop, and I don't know if I want to keep going like this, or if I want to stop taking the meds so I can get back in control and be more inhibited, because that kind of protected me from potential harm. But I might also get back into anxiety and depression, and that was horrible. So I don't like it. I don't feel like myself anymore. I'm completely different. Well, not completely, but I'm very different, and I'm not a fan of that. But it's better than the alternative, I guess, because I no longer continuously suffer from my mental problems, and I still have issues, but overall I'm like, yeah, whatever. And I don't suffer from it as much anymore. It's completely manageable, like a normal person. I feel like a normal person. That's weird. But since the meds also remove some of my inhibitions that I had, I'm just sometimes doing random stuff that I wouldn't have been doing otherwise. I make jokes I wouldn't dare to do before. I talk about stuff I wouldn't dare to talk about before, like I'm doing right now. I mean, I'm live on Twitch. I don't know if there's anyone watching, but that's public. I would put that on YouTube later, and that would be public as well, and everyone would be able to watch it. And speaking of which, I'll put a marker so I can cut out that bit and make a separate video. Anyway, yeah, it's different and it's better, but weird. Mental illnesses are really weird, and it's really hard to understand them. It's really hard to explain them, and it's really hard to understand them if you haven't lived with one. When I tell people how I feel, when I used to feel, some of them, including my mother, will be like, just get over yourself, just get this over with, move your ass and do something about it. And I was like, I can't. It's not possible. And people can't understand that feeling of not being able to do something that looks very easy for most people. Like picking up the phone or opening your mailbox. It was not things that were possible for me a few months ago. Now I'm like using the phone, no problem, whatever. Well, depends on what I need the phone for, like... Yeah, it depends. I'm not going to go into details, but... Like, for my Valve index that is still missing, I have no trouble calling the delivery company to ask them what's up about it. And used to be that I couldn't do that. So I might have... A few months ago, if I had bought that Valve index a few months ago, I might not have been able to see what was going on with it, and I might have lost 1,000 euros by not having it delivered ever and not being able to contact support to see what's up. That's how bad it was. 1,000 euros. I mean, I did lose money because of my issues. It's easier to lose money than to overcome the issues. It's like, I think the best description I have for it, it's like, if I were telling you to put your hand on a hot plate, you wouldn't do it. If you try to force yourself to do it, your body and mind would resist because you know you're gonna hurt yourself. So if you tried really hard, you might push through eventually, but obviously you're gonna get burned, and you know you're gonna get burned, so your mind and body are both gonna resist. And it's not gonna be possible for you to just put it here, unless you have some kind of issue of the other kind. And yeah, medication is important, Don Bat is saying. And yeah, so if I were telling you to put your hand on a hot plate, it would be very difficult for you. And my mind went through the same process for things that should be easy and doable and in everyday's life, like going outside, or cleaning up my flat, or taking trash out, answering the phone, whatever. It was not possible. I felt like I was going to burn myself really bad. And sometimes I did manage to punch through and it didn't burn, but that didn't prevent me from being scared of it. That's how it felt, and that's the best way I have to describe it to people. Anyway, I think I have a game to play. I'm probably gonna cut that bit about depression and mental illnesses because I like talking about it, and I'm thinking it's nice to have some insight about it if you have trouble. If you have someone who's affected and you have trouble understanding it. Just like Theo and Madeline are doing here. So I think it would be nice to have a little bit of video somewhere so I can link it to people. Anyway, let's get on with the story. Yep. Yeah, finding tricks also helps. I don't. Also something, I'm pointing out differences and similarities between my situation and Madeline's situation. In either case, it's not set in stone and it's gonna be different for anyone. That's also important. So keep that in mind when you're dealing with people with mental illnesses. Just go like, yeah, I know that one person and they managed to sort that out that way, so you should do that. You can advise them, but be kind about it. Be like, yeah, I know that one person and they did this and it helped them, and maybe you could try it out. And just suggest it. But do not be do not try to impose it on them. Do not make it sound as if it's gonna solve all their issues, because everyone is different. Everyone is gonna react differently to different things. Before I got to medications, I spent several months seeing my therapist 1 or 2 times a month before she could sort out the exact dosage I needed. And so everyone is different, everyone needs their own thing, and everyone needs their own care, and something that works for someone might work for someone else, but not necessarily. And if they do try it and it doesn't work, it might make them worse, so be careful about that. Moving on. Old people die. That happened to be a thing, unfortunate as it is. Another thing, I talked about I'm gonna keep going on with that for a while. I talked about my situation with my mother, and yeah, my father actually has the same issues. And when I told my mother about it, she went through the same things she went on with me. Like, you should get over it. You should try to stay positive. But don't say that to people who actually have mental issues. It's not helpful. It's gonna make them worse because they can't feel more positive. And instead of, even if they could, it's not gonna make it any better. But since they can't, they're gonna feel guilty because they can't feel positive, and it's gonna make them feel even worse. So be careful with that. Be careful what you say, and try to be always understandable. Understanding, not understandable.